One of the ladies in it, Tommy Lee Bradley, performs a bit around Houston.
Yeah, is she down there now?
Yes.
Well, she was in it. She was terrific. She was one of our main people. I'm crazy.
During that period in the 70s, I guess a lot of those films just weren't really doing well. Like, A Wedding and Health also were in that period.
Well, A Wedding did very well, as a matter of fact. Health didn't. Health didn't really get released, and nor did A Perfect Couple. I mean, that was sort of They were not generally. But A Wedding did quite well.
Then it seems after that, okay, then you did Popeye, and then you went into a series of films, Come Back to the Five and Dime, Streamers, where you were doing adaptions of plays.
Yeah.
Was this just sort of a reaction to to what had happened to your other major films before that?
Well, you know, whatever happened to those films has happened in the marketplace. I mean, they have no effect on me. I don't consider those failed films. I consider them highly successful films. They weren't marketed. They didn't work in the marketplace. They weren't marketed properly, or the audiences just didn't perceive them that way. Tell her I'll just call her, find out where she is before I'll call her right back. And and I got into I started doing those plays just because it occurred to me. I did Jimmy Dean because I did that play on Broadway. And so then I made the film of it. But I think that's part of what I know they're showing Fool for Love down there, and I have a feeling that that's what they want to talk about, is theater, taking theater to film.
Right.
Want me to talk about it.
In fact, that's currently running on cable, and Harry Dean Stanton was in town about 2 weeks ago at a musical concert. He's now touring with a music group.
Oh, is he?
Right. He played at one of the local nightclubs.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Now, another film, taking it back into the 60s, that you did, Countdown.
Yeah.
That's something that, I guess that wasn't a big hit at the time, but you see it popping up all the time on late-night TV, James Caan and Robert Duvall.
It was the first film, really, almost for both those guys. It was a space film. I was fired from the editing of that, and they reshot the ending, and the film was kind of taken away from me. But it still holds up in this space age. I like the film.
And then that Cold Day in the Park, was that received well?
Oh,
that's another film I haven't seen that I would like to see.
It was, it was received. It was released by one of these new companies that just started, and it was, we shot it in Canada, and it was a little film, and it got, quite a bit of recognition. It was the film I made right before MASH, and but it was never a hit in any way.
Now, was MASH the big turning point of your career?
Yes. Yeah, that gave me the power to do a lot of other films.
Certainly, McCabe and Mrs. Miller has some of the best photography for an American film in recent memory. That were you just working there with a large budget? You just come off the success of MASH, and essentially you had two of the biggest stars around.
That wasn't a large budget, and that film was a real failure. When it opened. I mean, that did about the same as A Perfect Couple. It was only later that in Europe, particularly, that they kind of got revived, and then now people seem to deal with it like a classic. But that was not a successful film commercially at all.
How did you get involved with Aria, the sequence you shot in that?
Oh, I was living in Paris, and I had a studio over there, and I had finished, and I'd just done an opera in Lille, Drake's Progress, and they asked me to do that piece, and I just agreed to do it. I'm kind of sorry I did. I didn't think it was a very good film.
You didn't like the way it turned out overall?
No, I didn't like the film. I didn't like the way they hooked it together. It's the only film I've been involved in. I can say that about.
I mean, it was certainly very interesting because you had a lot of the camera movements that you used in that were really graceful.
Well, the little piece that I did, for what it was, I was happy enough with that. I just thought the way they connected all the pieces was kind of, I just
sloppy.
The whole film was not very good. I liked Ken Russell's piece, but I didn't much care for them.
Now, what are you working on now? Now the Tanner's over.
Oh, I'm talking about doing a film in Europe on the life of Rossini. I'm thinking about doing. They want me to do that. I'm thinking about doing that.
Is there a sequel to Nashville in the works?
No, there was for about 3 years, but it is finished. It will not be done ever. For sure.
Okay. Well, Mr. Altman, I just basically wanted to cover base with you on a few questions about some of your movies and put it in an article that this newspaper will come out on Wednesday. Then I guess you'll be in town on Friday.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good day.